Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back. We are live here this Wednesday night for another show, and we have an amazing guest with us tonight. Amazing actress who I'm going to say she moved me big time, Melissa Anschutz. But before we talk to Melissa, I got to tell everybody tonight's show and all of our shows is brought to you by Bombers and Sleeves. They are the lifestyle apparel brand and are dedicated to bringing you the war on self-doubt. This is for the bold, the fearless, and the authentic souls who never back down and they wear it all on their sleeves. Bomb your boundaries. Shop Bombers and Sleeves today at bombersandsleeves.com. So, like I said, here she is, the amazing and fabulous Melissa Anschutz. Melissa, thank you for doing this tonight. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh man, thanks so much for having me. And I gotta say, I wish I had that kind of an introduction everywhere I went.
Well, let me tell you something. I'll say this first before we get into the whole movie. I just got to say, now I interviewed Don a few weeks ago, and I've interviewed Don probably a half dozen times over the last so many years. And I had seen he had shared the trailer out for Lost Heart, your latest movie, on LinkedIn. And I watched the trailer, and I was like, this is really interesting. And then he had put something else on that LinkedIn about it a few weeks back, and I said, hey, I really want to talk to you about this movie. I said, I want to watch it and talk to you about it because there's something about this movie that's really pulling me in. And then when I watched it, I was floored. I was so blown away. I was like, this is amazing. So I'm excited to talk to the lead role in that tonight. So again, we'll get into that, but I want to get into a little background about you first, because you are an amazing actress and you deserve your props.
Thank you so much.
How did you end up in the crazy business of acting?
It is a crazy business. So I always tease that I've been an actress since I was born, right? I mean, it's a part of you. It needs to be a part of you because it's such a tough career to get into. And I had all of the things that you can imagine said to me, like, oh, have a backup plan, and oh, that's a nice little pipe dream, honey. Those kinds of things. And, all good intentions, but, they were definitely not excited about where I wanted to go with my life just because of fear. It is a hard industry and there is a lot of competition, but I think perseverance comes in because, it's just like I said, it's a part of you and you just love it. And I love the art of storytelling. And I didn't come from, a great big high school that had all of this theater, around me for me to dive into and then, onward go to college. I didn't have any of that. So I tried to create my own, environments and have my friends, and produced back then. And my first little production was Grease, where we invited all of our neighbors, in to watch it as a little girl. And I did go on to college and major in theater. And honestly, I got into film because I really didn't know how to get into film. It was always theater. And that's just, if you want to go in that direction, that's typically where high schools and colleges would lead you. And I had a beautiful baby boy that was such a blessing, but he definitely put the pause on my career.
Sure.
And his brother put the pause on my career for a little bit. And finally, my husband at the time was like, you need to do this. Like, I don't want you to wake up someday and, really regret this. So you need to go back into this. This is just part of who you are and you love it. And so I did. And I did, of course, a theater production. I did The Odd Couple. It was directed by D. Terry Williams back then. And I had to learn the British dialect, and I'm not talking mid-Atlantic, British. So one of those company members that was with me in that, he said, your style of acting is really intimate. I really feel like you would do well on the screen. And at that time I was like, oh, how do you do that? I had no idea how to even get into this field of films and television. And he said, of course, I don't know. And oddly enough, my husband and I just, he really helped me. And I Googled and I found out that, there are great film schools. They're, around most places, and they do student films, and that's really where I got my start. I worked with Compass Film Academy in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I did several of their films, and I was able to build my reel. And then I found an agent in Grand Rapids, and away we go. It was kind of like, that's how I got my start. I know that sounds crazy, but I worked really hard, just never giving up, and just hearing all kinds of, things that would definitely discourage.
Of course.
But it was really important to me. It's just, like I said, it's just really, really a part of who I am. And I knew that I needed to keep going and keep pushing and never quit.
To hear that is so beyond amazing, because you figure, after having 2 kids, you would have thought, who seriously, who goes back at that point and really tries to pursue, let alone their dreams, but their dreams in entertainment?
Well, it's funny because out of the mouths of babes, my children, I have 2 sons, and Alex and Andy, and they were a lot of the reason that really pushed me. My husband's words were, he was always so encouraging, and I was so adamant about them following their dreams and never giving up and never listening to naysayers. And my oldest Alex said to me when he was just a peanut, he was like, "Didn't you want to be an actress?" And I said, "Yeah, I did, honey, but dreams have to change." And he goes, "That sounds like an excuse to me." And I was like, "What?" So, he was right. And I said to my husband, "Man, this is what, Alex just said to me, and he's right. And I need to go back and do this." And they were so great. They were so cute. They were just little, and, he was great. So my theater production that I went back into was, the first thing of me back into that world. And then once I was in, like, there was no way I was turning back. And my first film actually was a film called Dome, right? And I remember sitting in the theater at the premiere, and it was a student film. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. Like, I was like, this is the world, So I don't do theater anymore. With children, and my boys are just my world. And, with them, it's too time consuming for, you have 6 weeks of rehearsal in theater, and then you have 2 weeks of show. And, with film, I mean, if you get a supporting role, which can be such a great piece of work, inside a story, you can be in and out in, a few days or a week, or, and then if you're blessed with a lead, you're still only talking about, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then you're home again. So it just worked better for me. I think it was hard to, break into the world, just not having a clue. But I'm definitely a testimony for anyone can go after it. They really can, if you really have a passion for it. One of the things I do want to say, especially to, young actresses out there, this was really taught to me. This was really important. I started trying to educate myself on all areas of film. So not, just being an actress really wasn't enough. I wanted to understand the entire scope of it behind the camera as well. And I did that. And it really does make you a better, more qualified actress, because you're understanding, why they're having you stay right here in this frame, and, why you have to hit your mark, and, just things like that. And you can qualify productions. You can ask them certain questions about, what their production is like, whether or not you want to be a part of it, because you can look really bad if you get involved in the wrong, production. So they can paint, it's always the actor's fault. And, it can look like a bad performance and you might've crushed it. So I just really encourage, young actors and actresses out there, just really definitely educate yourself in the entire scope of the world.
Now, let me ask you that too, because you're saying about, young actors and actresses, like, when you decide to go back into this, were you intimidated at all by just that, by all these young actors and actresses you were probably surrounded by?
Oh, definitely. I was intimidated by all of it. I was so afraid. And each time that I face that fear, I'm still afraid. And it's because I care so much. I want so much to, become And I'll preface this though. I'm afraid until the moment I start performing, and then everything goes away. And I always joked, it's almost like a therapy. You know, you get to jump inside, you know, somebody else, and you have their issues and their problems, and usually they're a lot bigger than yours. And you know, you become them, and then everything else goes away. And you know, the best way for me to describe it is, you know, for like athletes out there, both my sons play football, so I've said to them, like, you know, when you are in the moment and you're scoring a touchdown, or you're blocking or whatever you're doing, you're not really thinking about what you're doing. I mean, you have this hyper focus, and I think that, you know, holds true for, you know, any industry or anything that you're hyper focused in. If you can, you know, drive in that lane, then it's fantastic. And then when you come out of it, it's almost like an out of body experience. You know, you're like, wow, this is, you know, it was wonderful, because you knew you were focused, and you knew you were becoming the character versus acting like the character.
Well, how about that? Like, getting into these roles, like the powerful role of Lost Heart, and then, you know, going through like your actor reels and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of funny, because, you know, your opening scene of Lost Heart is this powerful role, and you're so emotional, and a lot of tears are shed and everything else. And then the real I see is more of you crying and crying and crying. I'm like, oh my God, she's killing me. She's always crying.
Yeah, I don't think I had a drop of water left in my body after the film wrapped. You know, it's just, and I think one of the things is you have to feel it, you know, so, you know, tears come or they don't. And that's okay. And that's something I had to understand as an actress. If you really try to force those tears, you're going to lose your focus, and they're not going to come, and it's going to be tough. So I always tell myself, you know, when I'm walking into that scene, you know, to really focus on what's happening to my character, what's happening in the moment. In Lost Heart, Hannah was so broken. And, you know, in the opening scenes, she is living in this fake world that she has become so self-absorbed because everyone is catering to her every whim. And she eats it up, but she's so miserable. And so her journey was peeling off, you know, layers of this facade, you know, of this, you know, mega music star who has, you know, the world at her, you know, fingertips, but she inside is just a broken, mad mess. And to really peel slowly away those layers. I don't know if you noticed, but I will say hair and makeup did an incredible job with that film. And just, you know, obviously as she's healing, you know, so is everything getting toned down. I mean, she shows up in black leather skin tight pants in this, you know, a small little Michigan town, you know, so she looks like, you know, she sticks out like a sore thumb, and she's always wearing these glittery tops. And, you know, so a lot of it, you know, went into it with the surrounding elements for Hannah. But yes, I really do feel like I felt the things that she was feeling. I felt her brokenness. We had a family vacation right before, and I knew that I needed to be really empty when I entered the role. And so I literally, I knew she was self-medicating. And so I literally tried to curb my food. I starved, so I'd be empty. So it was kind of bad timing that we were on this family vacation, and I couldn't enjoy like everyone else, you know, was eating all these great foods. And I was like, okay, well, no, but it was so worth it. It really was.
Now, I like this, the whole role of Hannah in the movie Lost Heart. When you get the script for that, were you able to feel the power behind that movie?
Yeah. So, well, DJ Perry wrote the script, which, you know, from your and Don's interview. And when they handed me the script, you know, so Collective Development is also the company that I produce with. And DJ and I had met years ago. We were actually cast leads opposite each other in a different film. I was just an actress then, and he's been great in educating me in the, you know, producing world, him and the entire, what they call tribe. I mean, our tribe of gentlemen who have just been in this business for 25, 30 years and really took me under their wing and really taught me the ropes. And I'm just so grateful, you know, for that experience, you know, for that education that they gave me. But So when this film came around, it was like, it was in existence, but he kind of rewrote it and updated it and, brought it to, today. And I was just honored, and excited, to be able to become Hannah and to absorb this person and become this role. And then know that I had the support of, this great tribe around me. And then I do have to say, like, Lost Hearts, it's part of what I feel was really spectacular about Lost Heart had a lot to do with behind the camera. Jesse Aragon is an incredible director of photography. Jesse Lowe is an incredible director. We had worked together before on Wild Faith and 40 Nights, 2 other films. Just did such a great job in those films and in this film, and our relationship working together. I just love working with him. He allows me some freedoms. He gives really good, solid direction too. And then the score, Dennis Tarian does all of our score. So it's like, I was really comforted to know that, and Shane Hagedorn's also producer, Tony Horner's. I was really comforted to know that I had this great group around me so that I could just go and do the lead role, really. It was the first time I was really stepping off, mostly after pre-production. I just got to be Hannah. And I'm grateful for that because, it's hard producing. That's really hard work. So
something I was going to say too, like I wanted to get into the whole collective development thing, but the one thing I wanted to say, like going through and seeing all this and research and everything, you guys have this this company that you are part of that you helped create, and a lot of the people, from what I've noticed, is not only are they behind the scenes, but they're in front of the camera as well, and they're just the talent is on both ends. It's not just like, oh, they just happen to act and help out here and there. You guys are, doing double duty behind this camera, in front of the camera, and both very talented on both ends.
Well, thank you. That was actually DJ Perry's vision. So I did not start CDI. I came in years after they started. Dean Teaster, Tony Hornis, Dennis Tarian, DJ Perry. They were, up and running years and years before I came into the fold. And then Shane Hagedorn, around the same time that I did, we kind of joined the group. And the whole thing is that, it's really hard. It's hard to get an audition. That's the other thing, people don't really realize, when you say I landed an audition, people are like, okay, whatever, but that's a huge big deal. Because it's really hard to get an audition in a quality story. So when you land an audition, we joke between us. My friend who's like a brother to me, his name's David Grice. He's actually in the film. We joke all the time. Where it's like landing the audition is the performance that you have to just welcome and be excited about, because after that you may never hear anything. So his vision was that, okay, I'm going to do this myself, and I'm going to be a storyteller, and I'm going to make these stories, and I'm going to make them great. And that is how, I'm going to be able to storytell. And that's, he's obviously worked in other productions. We all have, and we all do, but it's just our way of being able to, to do both, and to do both often, rather than wait for somebody else to make it happen for us. It's like we get to do it. And yes, we have to roll up our sleeves, and we work like dogs. Really do. We work so hard as producers. There's so much that goes on year round, constantly, after wrap, pre-production. All that implies. There's a lot of logistics involved in making a movie. So, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And I love producing, and I love producing with this team.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like, once you first got involved on that end of it, how much did it open the eyes to the actress in you? Like, whoa! Did you, at any point you think, what did I get involved in? Like, why did I get involved in this end? I think I like the other end a lot better.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, I was very green. So when I met DJ, it was on a film called Seven Stones, and we were in the green room because pretty much it was heavily 2 characters, his character, my character. And I had at that time, with a few other people, Joe Anderson and David Grice, like I mentioned before, we had come up with this pilot that was it was a comedy. You know, it was based on something we had been involved with that was actually funnier behind the scenes. So we wrote, you know, this pilot together, and it was finished, and I was trying to get distribution, and I had no idea how to get distribution for it. So I was bending DJ's ear and saying, like, you know, so what's this and what's this, and asking all kinds of questions. And in his mind, he was like, well, she would make a good producer. So for a film, which was Shane Hagedorn's film, Ashes of Eden, he said, why don't you come and be an associate producer for us? And, you know, I definitely have dual brain. I do love the creative, I would say more, but I do have a business mind as well. And I loved it. I was like, this is a world that I can be in a business sense. And just really, you know, it's figuring out hotels, it's figuring out flights, it's figuring out ground transportation and meals and contracts. And, you know, there's a lot that really does go on. And I loved it. And thank goodness they thought I did a good job because they brought me on then as a co-producer, and away we went, you know, and I've been co-producing for them ever since.
That's awesome. You know, when you said that, kind of reminded me of like myself with the whole pro wrestling thing. Like I started out as a pro wrestler, and then I got into the back end with promoting and booking and all that. And then I realized like I was actually more satisfied behind the scenes doing the creative part and the booking and all than actually being in front of the camera doing the wrestling. It was weird. It was a very weird realization that came across in my career at that point.
That's so great. You know, I have to say I still love the acting best, and that's definitely where my passion sits more heavily. But wrestling is awesome. My nephews wrestle.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking you about that. I'm like, oh my word, my entire family is, you know, very much into wrestling, and I think that's great. You know, that you felt like, hey, this is where I'm being led, and I'm gonna go in that direction. For me, it was like, this is wonderful. I really do enjoy producing, but the acting is where my heart lives. I mean, completely where my heart lives. I love becoming other people, and maybe that makes me a little crazy, and it probably does. And my sons would tell you that that's accurate. But we like to say controllably crazy, right? Like I just love, I do. It's a therapy. It's wonderful. And my favorite parts are being able to sit in the audience with everyone and watch them, you know, watch the stories. So I like to try, sometimes you can't obviously during premieres, but I like to try to sit in the back, and I like to watch expressions, and, you know, and sometimes when it hits, you know, of course, before when we could go to the theater, I was always joking, like, I'm going to wear a baseball cap and I'm going to go in the back and I'm just going to watch what people think. And I hope they love the story. And, you know, it's a piece of you. So it's really personal. And, you know, that character, you're connected to them, and you're connected to the whole story and their life in that story. And so you want so much for people to enjoy it. That's why when you were saying those great things about Lost Heart and how it touched you, and you have no idea, I'm sure that I will cry, you know, like just hearing that, because it's just, it's wonderful. That's what we want. You know, we want our stories to really hit home in your heart, and to create some emotion for you and let you escape your worlds for a while.
I'll tell you what, I did cry. I actually did shed some tears, you know, during the funeral scene, and I was kind of dreading it too, because my fiance makes fun of me all the time because I always cry during movies, and I cry at the drop of the hat over things, and I was like, as it was getting close, I'm thinking to myself, I know when I'm not crying. I know when I'm not crying, and I'm like sitting here watching. I'm like, yeah, here it comes.
Oh, I love that. But that's like the best compliment that you could possibly give me. You know, like it really is, because you felt that, you know, you felt her moment of redemption. You felt, and I think we've all been there, right? We've all been to that place in our lives where it just feels, especially now, I mean, just today, you know, it just feels really dark and you don't feel like there's any hope. And I describe that moment for Hannah is, you know, that was her moment where she had hope. You know, there was something better for her. And she could be forgiven for everything that she had gone through and done, and she too was forgiving. So, that's the other thing. It's like people, say, oh, I've been forgiven. Well, but you too have to be a part of that and really have to forgive. We're all human and we make mistakes. And as we walk through our lives, there's a ton of them that we make, and we're going to continue to make them. I mean, I know I do.
I do.
So that moment for her, it was like, that was her moment. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
Now, how about we've mentioned them a few times already. When you're working in these movies and you're starring opposite Don Most, Victoria Jackson, which I mean, both of them, they're more or less known for their comedic roles through their career. And that was the thing that really drew me to this too, was seeing Don doing something that was very different.
It was such an honor because for me, both of them were were heroes for me. Growing up, I watched Happy Days every single day after school. And then, Saturday Night Live with Victoria Jackson. When they told me that Victoria was coming on board to play my mother, I cried. I was like, you're kidding. Like, it's Victoria Jackson. Oh my word, it's Victoria Jackson. Like, she is so amazing. And Dawn and Victoria are the most humble, talented people. I mean, they truly just offer you their gifts, and they're just incredible people, off screen and on screen. And so to be able to work opposite people that were your, icons for you, it was just like such an incredible, moment. And especially, with both of them, I mean, with Victoria, she played my mother. So there was just such a special bond and connection that we ended up carrying on. I mean, I'm friends with Victoria now, and that's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful that this friendship was born, through storytelling. And then Don playing, this quirky pastor who just doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's really trying so hard. And he just was brilliant in it. The way that he portrayed this quirky character was brilliant. And I have to say that the characters in Lost Heart and their quirky moments, they were so human. And, that they were so realistic, and it was often said to me, the only tragedy is Hannah's, because everybody else was, just kind of moving about, just about their day. But it just really made it realistic to, families and towns and people are quirky. And each of those actors that surrounded me in this film just played that beautifully. I mean, Taylor Dupuis, what a voice, right? Like, she is incredible.
Let me tell you this. When she sang in that scene, I was like, what? What did I just hear? Like, oh my God.
Right? I know. And I was there when they all kind of looked at her, and I said, seriously, girl, like, you are just insanely talented. Like, you are incredible. And she is. She's incredible. And she is pursuing that music career. And I just pray for her every day because I want her to just soar. And I hope this film helps, facilitate that. But all the characters, Shane's character in it is just fantastic. DJ's character in it, and I do have a little secret. So one of the very special parts for me in Lost Heart was that my niece, who is an aspiring actress herself, auditioned to play the younger version of me, Teenage Hannah, and landed the role. So Cassie Dean, who plays young Hannah, is my actual niece.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was amazing. So having her on set was probably like one of the most special moments. She was just cast just recently in a new film as a lead actress in this round. So it just really helped propel her in that direction. And I'm so proud of her. But that was so fun to have a family member, because my entire family, except for her, is nothing to do with this world. Nothing. They're all athletes, and which is great. But none of them are really in, this kind of this world, this field or anything, except for my sweet Cassie. And so that was really fun to watch her, become, and to work with her behind the scenes. And, it's just fantastic. So,
I'm guessing you're definitely the most favorite
No. Well, I'm going to say yes, but I'm biased, of course. I hope so. I certainly work on that spot.
Now, how about the one who truly I felt really made the movie overall is the actor playing Chip.
Josh Perry is
Amazing.
he has held a place in my heart. Josh and I did The Christ Slayer together, which I also produced. It was shot out in Yuma, Arizona. And I tell this story, and I'm going to tell it today because it just put things in perspective. So I was producing, and when you produce in the desert, you earn what we call desert stripes. I mean, it is some hard producing work. It really is. It's hot, and half the time there's no like landmarks, to try to find locations, and it's just really, it's difficult. And I was, it was right when the sun had just come up, and I was just getting to set, and Josh was there preparing for his role, and he came out of the RV, and I was stressed, and I'm sure you could see it, on my face. And he walked over and he put his arm around me and he said, "Did you see the sunrise today, Melissa?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You should have seen it. It was beautiful." And I was like, "You know what, Josh, you're right. Like, you're right. I'm losing perspective. It probably was beautiful, and I'm going to make sure that I see it tomorrow." And I cannot even tell you how much I admire and just adore Josh. He is one of the hardest working actors I think I've ever worked with. He's spot on. I mean, the man never drops a line. He is funny in between scenes. And he just loves with just this incredible heart. Everyone that's in front of him. I mean, Josh is everything that you would think. He's amazing. And so those scenes are probably some of my favorite scenes of the movie, with Josh and Hannah, because for Hannah, Chip was the only one she truly trusted. Everyone else is telling her about this man who's like, how can this be? I don't even know who you're talking about, right? This person that she hated, and when she meets Chip, and they have these great conversations, she trusts him because she knows that he's going to give it to her straight. And she feels like she can give it to him straight too. So that's why that scene when they're sitting on his bed talking, she's asking him about her dad, because she trusts that he's going to tell her the truth.
I love the fact too, the whole Bigfoot thing incorporated, because I love Bigfoot, so I was loving that whole thing.
I know, wasn't that great? I mean, just so much fun. And Josh was great with that Bigfoot head. I mean, he was constantly like putting it on and doing fun things, behind the scenes, in between scenes, and to have Bigfoot and UFOs, in a faith-friendly realm, it was such a fun shoot. We have some behind the scenes, stills and stuff. And, whenever anyone's looking at those pictures, just know that is all true. I mean, were there stresses? Of course there were, but we were having such a good time telling this story together. And it was absolutely a family. And I love all of them. I miss them, and a lot, pretty much, everyone we have remained friends with. You'll see a lot of repeats in acting, because why change a good thing. Christine Marie who plays my aunt in it. She has definitely ridden with us on a few different films. She's a fantastic person, fantastic actress. So yeah, I mean, that's the environment we really want to try to create as producers. Is this, we're all driving for the same goal, and that's to get this story told. But while we're doing it, we can celebrate each other and have fun, with limits, of course, because we have to keep moving forward, which is Nate Roberson's job, and he is fantastic at it. He's our first AD. And I feel like he's one of the best first ADs around. Like, he really is just fantastic at his job, and he's got a hard job. All the logistics of the hot set are his. And when I say hot set, it's, the actual set. So he just does a tremendous job in keeping everybody in line and moving forward. But we have fun. I mean, and I feel like a lot of that chemistry translates to the big screen when we're finished.
That's awesome. Now, how about if you guys got done shooting and all, and then rolls into COVID, like, did that like change anything? Like, was it going to be a theater release? It just slowed like the release of it down at all, or?
Yeah, well, and of course, the entire world was trying to pivot, right? So we weren't alone. I mean, everyone was trying to figure things out, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to do this? And Encourage TV, which is BMG Global, who is the distributor for the film. And actually, DJ had this idea of like, how great would it be if we had a produced red carpet premiere, meaning we still have a very small gathering with, the actors and, a few family members, because there were so many limits to how many could be together at that time with masks, and we actually film it and then put it on either side and then shoot it out. And so basically we're inviting the world to our red carpet premiere, where it was all online. It was all streamed. It was really fun because we're so much build up to that, of getting that done, and then getting, because we had an actual director come in, Nathaniel Knows, directed those 2 videos that went on either side of the world premiere of the film, and then Encourage TV shot it out on just 2 days. So in between there, we were, doing PR and definitely promoting it, and so it was actually ended up being kind of a better thing, because when can you ever have the whole world come to your red carpet premiere? So it was one of those moments where, at first you're like, oh, this really stinks. Like, we're not but we did. We got to get dressed up, and it was just very few of us. We came together, we filmed it, and then we got to sit, with our families and watch actually the premiere with everyone that we love. So it turned out okay. It turned out great.
Now, was that the first time you got to see the finished product?
No. There's producer perks. Which are great and sometimes not great, because you get to see the rough edit, and you really have to look at it as like, this is the first cut. There's no music in, there's no sound design in, these are just the first, it's the very first stages, and we watch those online, before private links. And then we give notes, and then the film kind of progresses into what it becomes. So I had gotten to see it before, I do admit that. But it was the first time that, all the other actors who weren't producing got to see it. And my family.
Which, something too, I was very shocked to find out, after everything wrapped up the movie, the tragedy that you went through with both you and your husband. First off, my condolences. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Losing my husband was, obviously it just knocked the wind out of me, of course. He was, like I said, like I told you in the story, he was such an advocate for my career, and him not being in my, in that field is rare, to get that kind of support to a world he just doesn't, he didn't understand, but his wife's so happy. And so he was definitely, a big push for me to get into it. And right after it wrapped, just a few months later, both of us being diagnosed with cancer, and then just having this whole journey and of fighting through that, and what that looked like, and how hard that was, and, trying to make, understand it. And, I really definitely leaned hard into my faith for that, to get me through that. But I will say my family is just amazing. Family and friends. My family has stepped up in ways that I don't know what I would have done without them. I really don't know where I would even be emotionally. As you can see, I'm good. And I feel like, that, he's always going to be with me. And I very much feel that way. And he's shown me that in ways, subtle ways. But yeah, my family's we've surrounded each other, and just helped each other, and lifted each other, and friends too, of course. It's been it's been an incredible, last year. Most people say, oh, it's been a terrible year with COVID. And I just, I have to say, oh man, you have no idea.
Yeah. That was the easy part.
Right? Yeah. Unfortunately, it was, it was definitely something to go through. I do feel like it has really grounded me in ways I would never have been. You can't possibly know, right? Like what you'll do or how you'll behave or what's going to come from it. But, we're strong, and we're survivors. And I do have just this incredible support. And I'm so grateful for that.
I gotta say this too, like you explained how he was the one that really pushed you to get back into the acting. The way I feel, like whenever you are acting now, he's always with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Oh, absolutely. And everyone said, oh, he didn't get to see Lost Heart. And Lost Heart was actually the very first film set he ever visited. He was just like, no, it's just a weird world for me, and it's weird for me to see you like become someone else. It's just, I don't know. And we had a day off. And I was like, you should come up, and so he did. He came up and he made a bunch of us sushi. He loved to cook for people. But he never got to see the finished product. And in this world, right? Obviously, of course, he watched it, and I know is proud, because he knows how much it meant to me. He was the one who would, rehearse with me. I mean, he was always reading lines opposite me. He was the worst actor in the world. I would tease him all the time, like, oh, just read it, babe. Like, that's not good. But I'm just so grateful, and I really do feel honored to have been the recipient of his love for so many years.
That's amazing. So, collective development. You guys are working on a bunch of other things now too.
Yes, we have a. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell yet, but I'm gonna leak it. Sorry, Tony. Sorry, DJ. We have a World War II film coming. And that's in the works. So we're really excited about that. I love historical pieces. I think they're great. Period pieces are hard, because you really try to get everything right, for the time. And then, we're really hopeful that Wild Faith turns into a series. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch that film.
No.
But please do. Lauren Lestrada is lead opposite Shane Hagedorn, and they just really knock it out of the park. I have the honor of playing a half Native American, half white trapper. It's late 1800s. So I joke that I didn't have to touch hair or makeup, or, I just got to roll in, right out of bed, because my character was a total tomboy. It was really, really fun. It was a really different role for me. The guys joked that, she doesn't talk very much, my character. Her name is Hester Thicket. And in the film, she has very few words, but her words are very important when she does speak. And so they joked that it was their way of getting me to shut up. But that is definitely a series hopeful. It just has great, good family values to it. So much of things we watch today are just really hard to watch with your kids, especially if they're young. And remember back in the day, you could watch Little House on the Prairie and Happy Days, and just right, exactly, and they just had these really good messages, and you felt good when you left them, and that's what Wild Faith is like. It's funny, and it's sad, and it's beautiful, and it's the message of love, and that just has been so overlooked, especially right now, and what that means and what that looks like. And so I'm really hopeful that series does happen, because I feel like then each episode, people can enjoy the world of, Wild Faith. So yeah.
Now, there was another one, something to do with cars or something, Lost in Wheels or something?
Oh, Best Year's Gone. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Best Year's Gone is shot. It is in post. And that film, well, usually it's about a year in post. It's a fun, kind of like, I'll call it, for lack of a better word, like a quirky romance. Like very quirky. And that's kind of like, love looks different for everyone. Erica Hovland and DJ actually star in that. Wow, she's amazing. Wait for the world to see her. She's just an incredible actress, such admiration for her. DJ knocks it out of the park in that film. Shane is directing that one. And the characters in it are extremely eccentric. They're fabulous in their own right. But they're definitely eccentric. I play a Jersey girl in it, which was fun, just kind of getting that, you and me were like oil and water, two things that should just never go together. So that was fun, learning like that.
Did you have the high hair?
Right? Oh yeah, lots of makeup, and it was just really fun. Not that people from Jersey wear a lot of makeup, but I was doing like the the character version of that, and it's fun. I mean, I'm excited for people to see that film. I have not seen anything but a rough cut. So, because it's, going through a second edit right now. So that will be out sometime probably next year, or like more towards fall, would be my guess. Right now they're all listening going, don't give us the time frame.
That's awesome. So anything else you're up to throw out there? Or?
Well, I'm definitely kind of, I'll call it a warpath of really wanting to look at more acting, definitely. And so I've been in discussions with, different agents about what that could look like. I feel like I'm in that kind of unfortunate or fortunate, however you want to say, moment where in order to really be seen by, some, studio funded things or, of that nature, a lot of times those go through agents. And my agent was originally in Chicago, and she did a fantastic job, but it was mostly commercials. And, and commercials are great, but that's not the meat and potatoes for me. And commercial actors and actresses are fantastic. I mean, that's wonderful if that's what you want to do, but that's not where I want to sit. So right now I'm really exploring, what that could look like, where I would need to go. I mean, obviously with the loss of my husband, I've realized how short this life is, and you really have to seize your moments and really go after them. And my children are older now. They're both in college. Obviously, they both play college football, which I'm very proud about that. And so I have those commitments, which, I'll be at all their games and I'll be the crazy mom in the stands. Of course, I will. But other than that, I don't feel as though there's, like they're not in high school, right? So they're not little, and I don't have to be home all the time or in one area. And so I'm definitely on a pursuit for what that looks like. I don't, for the first time actually in my life since my kids were born, I had this opportunity again, and I want to seize that. My husband's last words were, you just always think you're going to have more time. And, let that resonate for a minute, right? Like we take this life for granted, and I don't want to do that. I want to learn from what happened to him and what happens, to me, and really move forward. And go after things that are scary. And, you can always go after it, and if it's scary and it ends up being a complete catastrophe, well, you can always back up and pivot, you're not stuck. And I think that's really important. And I think that's a really important thing for people to hear, whatever it is, go after it. Why not? Don't be afraid.
I think now is your time. I think it's your time to shine now.
Thank you. I can't tell you how honored I was and excited I was when you asked me to come on the show. And I just loved your interview with Dawn. I love that your interviews are just these great conversations together. They don't feel like, there's this nervous and then there's this forced, and it's just it's just, you're so easy to talk to. You're so good at what you do. And I'm grateful for you.
Thank you very much. You know, it's funny, like usually I'll have like 1 or 2 pages of questions lined up. And honestly, there was like 2 or 3 questions with you. Like I just knew it was just going to be like a conversation.
Yeah, well, you make me so comfortable, and that's just a gift, you know? I mean, and I watched you do the same thing with Dawn. It's like you really do. You make your guests feel so comfortable that they can just open up and just talk to you. And, you know, hopefully people, your audience and my audience, because, you know, hopefully they're all watching and can glean some things, you know, from our conversation, and, you know, definitely some education, you know, on both sides. But I am really grateful for you, and I hope that people tell you that. I'm sure your fiance tells you that.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So let's get the word out about you. Where should we send everybody to find you?
Thank you. IMDb has all of my contact information. You can reach me directly on IMDb. You know, it has, you know, obviously email is probably the best route to go. So I would encourage, you know, please go to my IMDb page. My name, I've been spelling it since I married it. I don't know, it's on the screen, so I know it's a rough one, but the phonics is ANSHOOTS, so Anschutz. But I'm proud of it, you know, because it was my husband's. And if you go to my IMDb page and you go to the contact information, you should be able to get a hold of me. I have had a lot of people, based on what I went through, reach out to me through Facebook. And I just want all of them to know that I am still reading through those messages, and I am so touched by the many, many stories of people and what they've gone through, and you know, just so much. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of their messages. It would be another way that people, of course, could get a hold of me, you know, through that route as well. But you know, there was a lot of messages that came in, you know, definitely after those interviews when I talked about what happened, just sharing their grief and, you know, their circumstances. And I can't tell you, you know, often I'd have to only read like a few because I would be a mess, you know, crying, like just, you know, just people have really seen some hardship.
Yeah. It's you know, it's a scary and horrible thing, like when you go through it yourself, and then when you feel like you're alone. And then you get those messages and you realize that I'm not alone. And it's, you know, it's a sad world out there, and you have to, you know, make the happy positiveness and, you know, go for those stars and go for the stars.
Oh, thank you so much. You're right. It is a sad and happy world, and always try to find what's good about today, or sometimes it's like what's good about the next moment that you're in. And really look to the people that surround you and understand, you know, how vital they are. Because I know for me, those people in my life, you know, they were vital to me being healthy today.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Melissa, I can't thank you so much for doing this. Lost Heart, where should everybody watching it?
Yes, Lost Heart. So you can watch it on Encouraged TV. Or you can watch it on Amazon, of course. You know, I know most people probably will, you know, go the Amazon route, but Encourage TV has a ton of great family-friendly films. In addition to Lost Heart, they have several of our other films. Wild Faith is on there. We did a Quest trilogy, which is 40 Nights, The Christ Slayer, Chasing the Star. And Encourage TV is free. So it's like, you know, if you go to Encourage TV, just Google it, ENCOURAGE, Encourage TV. It'll pop up. You just put in your email and and then subscribe. And then you can see several of their films, including, you know, Lost Heart, which is also on Amazon Prime. But please watch it. If you do see it, please go to IMDb and tell us what you thought. Reviews are super important. Be kind. You know that we really did want you to love the film. And, you know, sometimes it's easy for people, I think, to hide behind that computer and, you know, and say hurtful things. I know that goes on a lot with social media, and I just encourage people to not do that, to really think about the person who's receiving it has a heart and a soul and feelings, and, you know, constructive criticism, that's part of the game, right? That, I mean, we expect that as actors, as producers, as filmmakers, we absolutely expect that. And that's okay. But you know, to just thrash something or someone, or, you know, like we're all seeing that right now. It's not constructive, and no one's going to learn, and no one's going to move forward from that. And I hope people really do take, you know, mindful moments before they were to post something hateful, and proceed with a better foot forward.
The one thing I really truly learned from doing this for the last so many years is, like, when I see an interview of mine get picked up by a website or something, never read the comments. Never.
Yeah. I know, right? Oh, because it's just like, why? You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, and sometimes they're just downright mean. I mean, I was going to say it. They can just be downright mean, and you want to just grab that person and say, whoever you are, hidden behind whatever handle you have, do you have any idea the painstaking efforts that went behind, you know, whatever was being done? And as if you did, I wonder if you would pause before you just said something just so cruel. And you know, I mean, people say, oh, you gotta have a thick skin, and we do. I have, you know, of course you do. You have to. You know, you hear no way more often than you hear yes, and we accept that, you know, going in. You know, one of the, which brings me to real quickly, you know, fame, right? So, fame is actually an unfortunate byproduct of the industry for me, because it floodgates this industry with people who don't truly love the craft. And I'm not saying I'm speaking to anyone in particular. I'm just saying it's unfortunate if you are going to pursue this career for that element only, because it shouldn't be the way. You know, if you want to pursue this career, do it because of the love of storytelling, because of the love of the craft. Don't do it to try to be famous. I mean, and if you are blessed enough to have this notoriety, you know, then be extremely, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. What film is that from, right? I mean, be extremely mindful of the things that you say, and make them have purpose. You know, that's really important today, especially. So yeah, that's and I'm going to get off the soapbox that I didn't even mean to step up on, because, but you know, I do think that's also good advice for people who are aspiring to get into this profession. Those are definitely the wrong reasons, and it can make the journey really hard. And you'll, you know, probably fall off the mark if you proceed because of that.
Yeah, hey, I am the walking poster boy for that, because, you know, before I got into the world of pro wrestling, I wanted to be a rock star. But that was the whole problem. I wanted to be a rock star, not a musician, and never truly learned the craft of playing the instruments. I was too busy posing in the mirror to be the rock star.
That's awesome, though. No, yeah, exactly. You know, and there is so much, you know, that's the beautiful thing about acting. It's like the self-monitoring goes right out the door. If you want to be a model, go be a model. But when, you know, I mean, if you're worried about looking ugly, well, then you are in the wrong profession, because some roles are downright ugly. Life is ugly. So if you want to give an accurate portrayal of a person, and maybe whatever circumstance that they're living, then be truthful to that. You know, it's like I joked with Wild Faith, you know, Hester Thicket was far from glamorous. There was nothing glamorous about her, but she was beautiful in her own right, because she was this stripped down person who had so much heart and so much, you know, wisdom to her words. So, you know, which is why, you know, I mean, I feel like it's a really important thing. Like, don't worry about what you look like when you're in a role. You know, be the person, and you will come out fabulous. I did a film called Chasing the Rain with Matt Lanter. I don't know. It just came out not that long ago on Amazon. And a bunch of my friends were like, you were in that film? Like, I didn't. And it's because the makeup on that film, they literally put like prosthetics on my face. They manipulated my features, so much so that in my trailer, I took a picture of my reflection in my mirror and sent it to my mother, and she wrote back and said, who is that? I mean, completely unrecognizable. So I was so excited to see this film come out, because I wanted to see what it looked like, you know. And I mean, I can obviously tell it's me, but you want to talk about homely? Ooh. I mean, they're like, it was definitely humbling. Like, there is nothing that is beautiful or remarkable exterior-wise about this character. And that's kind of the point of my character in the film. So, yeah, so the point is, it was like, that was so much fun to do. You don't have to worry, you don't have to self-monitor, you don't have to worry about what you look like or what you're saying, or you're turning this way or that way. All you gotta do is hit your mark, stay in your frame, and really become that person. And, let everyone else who's an expert in that area light you, film you, direct you, do all the things that will make it great.
Yeah, acting's not all just red carpet.
No, no, actually, it's a funny story. My niece was saying, she calls me Titi. And after she shot her scenes, her character runs through this big field in the film Lost Heart. And she called me afterwards. She said, Titi, acting is not glamorous at all. I had to run through the field like 20 times. And I said, oh, honey, welcome to the world.
You wanted to be an actress.
Right? She said, and the sick part is, she's like, I loved every single bit of it.
Well, I guess that was the true test for her to see if she was really going to like it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. I'm so proud of her, and I can't wait to watch her career, because it's going to be full with all kinds of great opportunities for her, and I will be there for her in every single way that I can to support her journey.
That's awesome. Well, Melissa, again, thank you so much for doing this. It was great to talk to you about not only Lost Heart, but everything else. It's great to be a friend with you now.
Yes.
Everybody, Encourage TV, check out Lost Heart. Also, check out the other films by Collective Development, and check out Melissa. Go to IMDb and look her up. Send her a message, like her. She's also on Instagram and everything else. So there you go.
Yes, Mel or Melissa is my handle.
Awesome. Melissa, thank you again so much. And everybody, thank you for checking this out.
You're amazing. Thank you.